Okay, here we go. Ready? And action!
Hello, I'm Rosalyn Sanchez, and welcome to Fantasy Island. Actually, welcome to Puerto Rico, the location of Fantasy Island. I am thrilled to take you behind the scenes of our new show that reimagines this television classic. And your tour begins with me. I'm Elena Rourke, your host. Welcome to Fantasy Island. I'm excited to be stepping into this legendary role and white suit to oversee the island and guests looking to fulfill their wildest dreams. I think I know what you need.
And action!
The premise of Fantasy Island is that guests come to the island and can have any fantasy come to life.
No fantasy is too big or too small on Fantasy Island. If a guest can think it, the island can provide it.
The premise of Fantasy Island was to be able to take people on an escapist adventure and to bring people what they want in their lives. But they always have to be careful about what they want versus what they need. Because in the end, sometimes they're not the same thing.
Action!
We have the amazing Rosalind Sanchez playing Elena Rourke.
Working with Rosalind has been an incredible experience.
Rosalind's known for her humor, and she brings that to the set and to the screen.
Rourke! I remember watching the original Fantasy Island here in Puerto Rico, because as you know, I was born and raised here. It's so vivid. You know, the plane, to me, here in Puerto Rico, because it was dubbed in Spanish, it was el avión, el avión.
It actually feels like we're on Fantasy Island. If you look around, it's gorgeous. Everybody is wonderful.
I'm so excited to be part of the new reimagined Fantasy Island. It's so cool and it's such a great group. It's a treat.
It's so magical to be here literally on Fantasy Island and be, you know, it does all the actor work for you. You don't have to think, oh, I'm in a perfect place. We're in a perfect place.
We're not leaving.
The original was a little more airy, but we get to have a little more depth to these characters.
All right, let's go. Ready, guys?
It's really a place where we can go right now to escape. We want people to spend an hour just having fun, seeing a beautiful, magical world where anything is possible.
Hola, bienvenidos a la Isla de la Fantasía.
The new Fantasy Island is similar to the original in its premise, but we have a female running the island, Ms. Rourke, Elena Rourke, and of course, women do things differently, so it's better.
Thank you. My character, Elena Rourke, is the grandniece of Mr. Rourke from the original series. The Rourkes have always been the stewards of Fantasy Island. Now, every generation, when there needs to be a new host, one is chosen from the family.
She's very mysterious. Clearly, she had a life before the island and had to give up a lot to run the island.
This island is more than a job. It's a calling. Having a woman in charge of the island is so meaningful to me because it is our time. And I'm super honored, you know, to be the one carrying that responsibility.
Rourke's MO is to get to the heart of the problem.
She'll hold your hand when she needs to and give you a kick in the butt if that's a better approach.
She's sort of a therapist, a very interesting therapist.
So tell me, what can the island do for you?
Work with Brian drives up to the opening of the trail to drop him off.
It's incredibly important to have women behind the camera as well as in front of it.
So it's a female-forward show.
You have female writers, creators,
women directing.
Ready, and action!
Having a woman running this island, as well as women running this show, it has a different perspective.
The fact that the industry is embracing that fact nowadays, and they're giving us the opportunity to show that, yeah, we can carry a show.
We have a whole team of women behind the scenes.
Femininity takes on many, many different shapes and forms.
Really just sort of leaning into female empowerment, which I love.
Every woman knows exactly what you mean. Many of us working on the new Fantasy Island are fans of the original, and some even have ties to the classic series.
My father was one of the composers on the original Fantasy Island, so I'm so thrilled and honored to be part of the new Fantasy Island.
I loved the original Fantasy Island. And what I remember most is the feeling of freedom that the island gave you.
I remember wanting to live vicariously through the characters and their experiences and transformations.
I remember I grew up, my parents watching just episode after episode. It's a real treat for us to be in this fantasy island. I think we're like part of history.
I just think it's brilliant. I love they're reimagining it in the way that they are. You know, there's a bit of escapism with this show, and I think we really need that right now, where to watch something light and fun, where you can just kind of enjoy it. I think we're all ready for a little bit of that.
The fact that we're shooting in Puerto Rico makes a big difference in terms of the gorgeous production value on the show.
We are not shooting on a soundstage. As you can see, look at this. Look at my backdrop. So we are shooting on an actual fantasy island. You just walk outside and you're on set.
Well, I apologize. I don't usually talk about myself. Let's do the moon.
When we were able to get with everyone and do the first table read, and I got to see everyone's faces, it was great.
What was amazing about it is that even on screens, we could feel the chemistry with the cast.
The story just came to life. You know, even though we were all in these 2-inch white boxes, the reading went fantastic, and you could immediately sense that this was going to be very special. Noah, we've talked about this.
I can't do it.
Okay.
Wait, come back.
Yes?
I'm scared.
Everyone is scared, even me. I mean, occasionally. The most important lesson I've learned since I've been here is that lessons are best learned the hard way. All guests who come to Fantasy Island share one thing in common. They are looking to have a once-in-a-lifetime fantasy come true. But once they get off that plane, no one but the island truly knows what's in store for them.
The island is the place of magic, where magical things happen. We just believe.
Elena Rourke may be the steward of the island, but she doesn't decide what the guest's fantasy is. The island decides. The island and its infinite powers choose how the fantasy will unfold. And Elena is merely, think of it as a conduit.
Ruby, she came to the island with Mel, both in their late 70s, and they make the wish to be young again. And so the island, it'll give you what you wish for, but it's gonna teach you something along the way.
Do things always turn out?
Depends on your definition of turn out.
The island provides answers in unexpected ways, and that's what creates the drama and the tension and at times hilarity that these characters experience.
The beauty about doing a series like this, that people come to Fantasy Island seeking an incredible adventure, is that it gives the opportunity to the writers just to write things that are magical and empowering.
Daphne and Zev come to the island specifically just to reconnect. I think their relationship has become a bit stale, and they're really just looking to have the ultimate adventure.
They're coming here to look for that kickstart in their relationship, and I don't think they expect what they're going to get.
That was incredible.
So one of our favorite guests on Fantasy Island this season is Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones?
You will meet him as a golden retriever.
Mr. Jones has a big story arc in the show. He's an exciting character, and you'll find out who he really is in future episodes. There are so many exciting adventures awaiting fantasy seekers on the island, and they all have, wow, incredible stories.
Bellamy Young, I mean, having her as our first big guest star just set a tone of fun and humor that just made everybody just like grin ear to ear.
Christine is a morning news show anchor in Phoenix, and she has a little bit of a meltdown, and she really loses it over a box of donuts. Our new 25-year-old weatherman wants to be liked. So now I get to spend the entire broadcast thinking about donuts.
Looks like somebody needs a vacation, huh?
And they send her off to Fantasy Island, where her fantasy is to be able to eat anything she wants, everything she wants, and not gain an ounce.
It's gonna be like a roller coaster of just great actors and great talent coming in and out with incredible fantasies, with incredible desires that the island is gonna provide for them and for you to just have a blast.
Let the adventure begin.
All right then.
Zev and Daphne, who are played by Dave and Odette Annabelle, are two guests who come to Fantasy Island with a fantasy to have the ultimate adventure.
And what they end up getting is something much deeper.
What just happened?
Oh my God, I'm you!
I'm you?
I'm you!
They end up getting put in each other's bodies.
We're actually married,
Lucky girl.
and we know the ins and outs of each other. So it'll be fun to, wow, we both crossed our legs.
I'm in character.
What they come to realize that they need is to understand each other better.
Want to join me in the shower?
Damn. Is this how you feel every time you see me naked? Because this is intense.
You know, it's such a common thing that people want something, but they need something else. So is that whole idea of the want versus the need. And that's a topic that is going to be explored on Fantasy Island over and over again. Safe travels.
Hey everyone, welcome to Fantasy Island Base Camp. This is the beauty that we get to see every single day, and that's one of the benefits, I guess, of working on location. We're not on a sound stage. We actually built a dock. We have a seaplane that comes in. I am the pilot. Don't tell anybody this, but I don't actually fly the plane. So keep that down, okay? Keep it down. A little bumpy here. Hopefully you haven't just eaten. We're passing up the hair department and the wardrobe that make us look pretty. Make sure our hair doesn't blow away in the fierce wind that is usually in Puerto Rico. For mine, it's 1 can of hairspray per day, no more nor less. I'm gonna take you on the set. They're actually filming right now. Here's the audio department. They get us mic'd up every single day so you can hear us.
Clearly.
This is our director here, Mr. Adam Kane. He looks to be busy at the moment. It's tough going to work in these conditions every single day.
The new Fantasy Island is also honoring the classic series in costume design. The iconic white suit worn by Mr. Rourke is getting updated and tailored for Miss Rourke. Here's a special look at the new Fantasy Island fashions.
Welcome to the Fantasy Island wardrobe trailer. I was so excited to bring back the white suit. It's what everybody thinks of.
Our incredible Emmy-nominated costume designer, Allison Fanger, designed a suit for today's Rourke.
We're all now used to seeing powerful women coming out in their white suits.
When I put on the white suit for the first time, wow, you know, it was amazing. As an actor, I'm always looking for ways into my character, and the suit brought me a sense of power, of security, of confidence.
So we've made it sleeker, much more design. She has different incarnations of wardrobe that accompany the suit.
We got her this beautiful bathing suit, very sophisticated. This is the kind of thing she might wear in the dining lounge. We had to think a little bit about what does Rourke wear when she's home.
So in terms of how we decided to create the costumes, the island plays a critical part. We're big on color. Also, fabrics are lighter because, you know, there's a lot of sun here, but then it rains next day.
We did get really excited at Monitor when we saw Rourke in her white suit for the first time.
It's so cool and exciting.
I was sitting there with Liz and Sarah, and we all got a little teary because there's been a lot of talk and a lot of planning for this moment, and there she was, and she was owning it 100%. It was a gorgeous moment.
Here in Puerto Rico, we have an amazing team of artists and technicians hard at work to bring incredible fantasies to life.
Action!
So, pull up a director's chair as we take you behind the scenes of the making of one tasty fantasy. Salud.
Oh, it's so interesting to sit down and have your life told to you in food.
So this scene is so unique. You know, Christine enters this glorious banquet hall with an impossibly long table with her favorite food, so she thinks. And let's just say the food gives Christina a bad taste in her mouth.
One of the things that comes at her is a gigantic wedding cake.
Look at this, how large. She doesn't know it yet. She's gonna realize and she's gonna learn through the experience at Fantasy Island that that's what she needed.
Inside this cake are memories of her pained existence with her stepfather.
I don't want this cake. In her wild effort to push it away, she gets actually drawn into it, and it takes her back to her past.
The island has something incredible in store for Christine through the cake.
And this was a gigantic task for us because we didn't want it to make it look like we had done some sort of visual effect that didn't really look that good. So what we actually did was create a practical cake that had a cavity in it.
The bottom part is doing in wood, covered with styrofoam with Sonex on it, where the actress can put the hand into the cake.
And I had to hit that point and just keep pushing. Everybody excited?
Here we go.
Bellamy doing this scene was transcendent.
That scene was my second day on set. And Bellamy, every time she was gonna do the motion of getting swallowed by the cake, everybody was laughing out loud.
The cake ate me.
Please know that I don't get any pleasure from this. Okay, maybe just a little.
From what? Get it away from me!
I've never seen a cake eat someone before. That was a first for me.
I had the strangest weekend of my life. I feel liberated. I think I finally let it go.
Thank you so much for joining us on our tour of the new Fantasy Island.
My fantasy is to be able to fly. Am I allowed to fantasize about that? Because that would be cool.
My fantasy is to buy a trailer and just go from state to state and stay at different parks and meet new people and share new experiences.
My fantasy is being in complete surrender. Just allowing what is and enjoying every moment for what it is.
My fantasy is to be able to fly, because then I would not have to deal with Los Angeles traffic.
My fantasy is for the show to do amazing and to be embraced the same way that the original was, for people to enjoy it as much as we enjoy making it.
My fantasy is to sleep as long as I possibly can without being interrupted.
My fantasy is to work with my wife in Puerto Rico with our family on Fantasy Island.
Nice.
Thank you, everyone.